We're talking about the Large Hadron Collider, better known as the LHC at CERN.
Ah, the LHC.
You know, this thing, it's the king of particle accelerators, the heavyweight champion of smashing tiny bits of matter together.
That's one way to put it.
And on this deep dive, we're going to figure out how this incredible machine actually works, what makes it tick, but also why it's so important. Like, why do we even care about smashing these particles?
Right, because it's not just about breaking things.
Exactly. It's about understanding the universe, like the fundamental building blocks of everything. And we've got a ton of information about its design, how it operates, and the amazing science that's come out of it. So you ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first things first. When you think about the LHC, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
Well, I think what gets me every time is just the sheer scale of it. I mean, picture this. A 27-kilometer tunnel. That's like, what, 17 miles?
Yeah, that's huge.
Buried underground, straddling two countries, France and Switzerland. And all of this massive engineering project, is dedicated to smashing particles together at insane energies.
Yeah, it's almost hard to wrap your head around it.
It really is. And,
Yeah.
you step back and look at the bigger picture, the LHC is really our best shot at understanding, like truly understanding, the fundamental building blocks of the universe.
Just the ultimate microscope, right?
Exactly. A microscope that lets us look into the very fabric of reality.
So let's start at the beginning. Where do these particles, the ones that get smashed, where do they even come from?
Well, believe it or not, it all starts with something pretty simple, something you probably learned about in high school chemistry. Hydrogen gas.
Hydrogen gas, really?
Good old H2. So we start by extracting protons from the hydrogen atoms.
Yeah.
Protons, those are the positively charged particles in the nucleus of an atom.
Right. Okay, so we've got our protons. What's next?
Well, think of it like a relay race. The protons start their journey in a linear accelerator, or LINAC for short. This is like the first leg of the race, giving them their initial burst of speed.
Okay, so they're off and running.
Yeah, but they're not done yet. From the LINAC, they get passed on to a series of bigger and bigger circular accelerators. First, the proton synchrotron, then the superproton synchrotron.
It's like they're working their way up the ranks.
Exactly. Each accelerator boosts their energy even further, getting them ready for the main event, the big race in the LHC.
So these smaller accelerators are kind of like the training ground, the minor leagues.
Yeah, good analogy. They're prepping the protons for the big show.
And once they're finally injected into the LHC, this massive 27-kilometer ring, how do they actually get to those crazy near light speeds?
That's where things get really clever. The LHC uses something called radio frequency cavities, or RF cavities.
RF cavities. Sounds complicated.
They are, but the basic idea is pretty cool. These cavities create oscillating electric fields. Imagine a surfer riding a wave.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
As the protons in bunches pass through these cavities, the electric fields give them a little push, like the wave pushing the surfer. And the key here is timing. The oscillations have to be perfectly synchronized with the passing protons.
So it's like pushing a swing at just the right moment to make it go higher.
That's a great way to put it. And with each pass through the cavities, the protons gain a little bit more energy, getting faster and faster.
But hold on, how do you keep these super fast protons from, flying off in a straight line? How do they stay in the ring?
Ah, that's where the magnets come in. And not just any magnets. These are superconducting magnets.
Superconducting magnets, those sound intense.
They are. And here's why they're so important. To bend the path of a charged particle, you need a magnetic field. The stronger the magnetic field, the tighter the curve. And the LHC needs really, really strong magnetic fields to keep these incredibly energetic protons going in a circle.
So are these magnets like, 100 times stronger than a refrigerator magnet or something?
More like 1,000,000 times stronger. These magnets are absolute beasts.
Wow.
And to make them even more powerful, they're cooled down to incredibly low temperatures.
How low are we talking?
1.9 Kelvin. That's almost absolute zero, colder than outer space.
Colder than outer space? That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. And at these temperatures, the magnets become superconducting, meaning they can conduct electricity with practically zero resistance. This allows them to generate those super strong magnetic fields without melting themselves.
So we've got the RF cavities speeding up the protons and these super cooled magnets keeping them on track. What happens when these two forces work together?
Well, that's how we get to those near light speeds. The protons are constantly being accelerated by the RF cavities and simultaneously bent by the magnets, forcing them to go round and round the LHC ring, gaining energy with each lap.
And eventually they get pretty close to the speed of light.
Oh yeah, we're talking 99.999991% of the speed of light.
That is unbelievably fast. But I've heard that at those speeds, things start to get a little weird, like physics changes the rules of the game.
You're talking about relativistic effects,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Well, you're absolutely right. As these particles get closer and closer to the speed of light, Einstein's theory of relativity starts to kick in.
So what does that mean for the protons?
It means that even though we keep pumping energy into them, their speed doesn't actually increase that much anymore. Instead, their energy manifests as an increase in mass.
Wait, so they get heavier?
In a sense, yes. Their relativistic mass increases. And that's another reason why those super strong magnets are so crucial. They need to be able to bend the path of these increasingly heavy protons.
It's like trying to steer a runaway train that's getting heavier by the second.
A very, very fast and heavy train. And this is where things get really interesting from a physics perspective. Because we're not just making particles go fast, we're pushing them to the limits of our understanding of energy and mass.
It's like we're pushing on the very fabric of reality.
We are, and that's exactly what we want to do. We want to see what happens when we push those boundaries.
So let's talk about those collisions. We've got these protons zipping around at nearly the speed of light. What kind of energy are we talking about when they finally smash into each other?
Well, each proton reaches an energy of 6.5 tera-electron volts, or TeV for short.
TeV, that doesn't mean much to me.
It's a unit of energy. And to put it in perspective, think about a mosquito in flight.
Oh, okay, a mosquito.
It has a kinetic energy of about 1 TeV.
So we're saying these protons have the energy of 6.5 mosquitoes.
That's one way to think about it. But the crucial difference is that the energy in a proton collision is concentrated into an incredibly tiny space, something much, much smaller than an atom.
So we're taking the energy of 6.5 mosquitoes and squeezing it into something unimaginably small.
Exactly. And that creates an energy density unlike anything we can create anywhere else on Earth.
That's pretty incredible. And this is the whole point of the LHC, right? To create these incredibly energetic collisions.
That's right. We want to see what happens when we smash these particles together with such incredible force. What new particles are created? What forces are at play?
And how do we even see what happens in these collisions? I mean, they're happening at such tiny scales, and everything's moving so fast.
Well, that's where the detectors come in. The LHC has 4 main detectors: ATLS, CMS, LHCb, and ALICE.
What are these detectors like?
They're like giant multi-layered cameras designed to capture the debris from these collisions.
Debris.
Yeah, when the protons collide, they explode into a shower of other particles. And the detectors track the paths of these particles, measure their energies, and identify what kinds of particles they are.
It's like a microscopic car crash, and we're trying to piece together what happened by looking at the wreckage.
Exactly. And each detector is specialized for a different kind of physics. ATDLs and CMS are the general-purpose detectors, looking for new particles and forces. LHCb focuses on the differences between matter and antimatter.
Matter and antimatter.
Yeah, the evil twins of particles. And ALICE studies a state of matter called quark-gluon plasma, which is thought to have existed just after the Big Bang.
So these detectors are giving us a glimpse into the very heart of matter, the fundamental building blocks of everything.
That's right. And the amount of data they generate is just mind-boggling. We're talking petabytes of data every second.
Petabytes. How much is a petabyte?
A petabyte is 1,000,000 gigabytes. It's a truly massive amount of information.
And how do you even handle that much data?
It takes a global effort. The LHC relies on a vast network of computers around the world called the Worldwide LHC Computing Grid to process and analyze all that data.
So it's like a giant global brain trying to understand the universe.
It really is. Thousands of scientists from all over the world are working together to make sense of this incredible amount of information.
And all this effort has led to some pretty big discoveries, right? I mean, I remember when they found the Higgs boson back in 2012.
Oh yeah, the Higgs boson, that was a huge discovery.
What's so special about the Higgs boson?
Well, it's a fundamental particle that gives other particles their mass. It was the missing piece of the Standard Model, our best theory of particle physics.
So finding the Higgs boson was like completing the puzzle of the universe.
Well, not quite the whole puzzle, but a big piece of it. It confirmed a lot of what we thought we knew about the universe.
But the LHC isn't just about finding the Higgs boson, right? What else are they looking for?
There are still a lot of unanswered questions in physics. We're looking for things like dark matter, which we know exists because of its gravitational effects, but haven't been able to directly detect.
Dark matter? That sounds mysterious.
It is. It makes up about 85% of the matter in the universe, but we don't know what it's made of.
So the LHC is like a dark matter detector, too.
In a way, yes.
Mm.
We're hoping to create dark matter particles in the collisions and see them in the detectors.
That would be amazing. What else is on the LHC's to-do list?
Well, we're also looking for evidence of supersymmetry, a theory that predicts a whole new set of particles, and trying to understand why there's more matter than antimatter in the universe.
So there's still a lot of work to do.
There is, and that's why the LHC is constantly being upgraded. The next big upgrade is the high luminosity LHC, or HLLHC.
What's so special about the HLLHC?
It's going to increase the luminosity of the LHC by a factor of 10.
Luminosity.
It's a measure of how many collisions happen per second. More luminosity means more data, which means more chances of finding something new.
So it's like making the microscope even more powerful.
Exactly. The HLLHC is going to give us a much clearer view of the subatomic world.
That's pretty exciting. And all this is happening in this massive 27-kilometer tunnel buried underground. What's it like inside the tunnel?
Well, it's actually a pretty harsh environment. The beam pipes have to be kept at an incredibly high vacuum, 10 times lower than the pressure on the surface of the moon.
Why such a high vacuum?
So the protons don't collide with any stray air molecules. Even a tiny collision could throw them off course.
So it's like creating a little pocket of outer space inside the LHC.
That's a good way to put it. And to maintain that vacuum, the entire tunnel has to be incredibly well sealed and constantly monitored.
And what happens when they need to stop the beam? I mean, you can't just hit the brakes on something moving at nearly the speed of light.
No, you can't. The LHC has a sophisticated beam dumping system. When they need to stop the beam, they divert it into a massive block of graphite.
Graphite, like pencil lead.
Yeah, basically. It's a very dense material that can absorb the energy of the beam without being destroyed.
So it's like a giant high-tech crash pad for the protons.
That's a pretty good analogy. And the whole system is incredibly complex and carefully designed to ensure that the beam is dumped safely and without damaging the LHC.
It's amazing to think about all the engineering and technology that goes into making the LHC work.
It really is. It's a testament to human ingenuity and our desire to understand the universe.
So what are some of the biggest challenges in operating the LHC?
Well, keeping the magnets at their operating temperature is a huge challenge. Any fluctuation in temperature can cause a quench, which is when the magnets suddenly lose their superconductivity.
What happens when there's a quench?
Well, it's not good. It can damage the magnets and take a long time to recover. So they have to monitor the temperature very carefully and have systems in place to quickly deal with any quenches.
It sounds like a very delicate balancing act.
It is, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
The LHC is giving us a glimpse into the very nature of reality.
And it's not just about the science, right? The LHC is also a symbol of international collaboration.
Absolutely. Thousands of scientists from all over the world are working together in this project. It's a truly global effort.
It's a reminder that even in a world that can seem so divided, we can still come together to achieve great things.
I completely agree. The LHC is a testament to what we can accomplish when we work together towards a common goal.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the LHC, what are some of the key things we've learned?
Well, we've learned that the LHC is the most powerful particle accelerator ever built.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
We've learned that it's helping us to understand the fundamental building blocks of the universe and the forces that govern them.
And we've learned that it's pushing the boundaries of our understanding of physics, leading to groundbreaking discoveries like the Higgs boson.
And we've also learned that the LHC is a symbol of human ingenuity and international collaboration.
Absolutely. It's a truly inspiring project, and it's exciting to think about what new discoveries might be made in the years to come.
Yeah, who knows what secrets the universe is still hiding. Maybe the LHC will help us to unlock them.
Maybe it will. Now, here's something to ponder. We've talked about how the LHC is helping us to understand the universe at its smallest scales, the realm of subatomic particles. But what about the biggest scales, the vast expanse of the cosmos? Do you think there might be a connection between these two extremes, something that links the smallest and the largest things in the universe?
That's a really interesting question, and it's one that physicists are actively exploring. There are theories that suggest connections between the very small and the very large, like the idea of quantum gravity, which attempts to unify quantum mechanics and general relativity. Maybe the LHC, by probing the fundamental nature of particles and forces, will give us clues about the large-scale structure of the universe.
It's a mind-blowing thought, and it just goes to show that there's still so much we don't know about the universe. But that's what makes it so exciting to explore, and that's what the LHC is all about.
I couldn't agree more. The LHC is a testament to our insatiable curiosity, our drive to understand the world around us, and the incredible things we can achieve when we put our minds together. It's a journey of discovery that's just getting started.
And that's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Large Hadron Collider. Until next time, keep exploring the universe, both big and small.
Absolutely. Keep those questions coming.